Today we're talking about sample rates. What is the optimal sample rate to run your DAW sessions at and why? But first, let's define what is a sample rate. Your sample rate, or your sample frequency, depending on the verbiage, is the number of digital snapshots taken per second of digital audio. As I mentioned in my previous video on gated reverb, the Nyquist frequency is what determines the usable frequency range for a sampler, and it's always half of the total sampling rate. Why is that? Well, to answer in short, you need at least one sample point on either side of a waveform. You need one on the positive and one on the negative, at least one. From that point, there's only one appropriate curve that can be drawn, which is why you only need one point on either side. This is why digital samplers always contain an anti-aliasing filter, which is at the Nyquist rate. By putting that in there, it filters out all the frequencies above where you wouldn't have enough points to reconstitute the waveform. So if you have a 96 kilohertz sampling rate, you'll have 48 kilohertz of bandwidth. If you have 48 kilohertz of sample rate, you'll have 24 kilohertz of bandwidth. Now, the often agreed upon edge of human hearing is 20 kilohertz. That's like typically the highest human ears can perceive. Now, our ability to perceive the upper edge of hearing diminishes as we age. And often by the time you make it to 18 years old or adulthood, you've already lost the upper few thousand frequencies. We're saying 20K is the human edge of hearing. So 44.1 should do it, right? Well, let's divide it in half. Now we're at 22.05 kilohertz. That leaves us only 2 kilohertz of frequency band to apply the anti-aliasing filter. Now, what happens if we go to 48 kilohertz? Well, that doesn't seem like all that big of an improvement, but it ends up being twice as good. It goes back to that filter. By having the filter set at 24 kilohertz instead of 22, you get an extra 2 kilohertz of roll-off now. So that filter can be more relaxed, and a more relaxed filter sounds more open and more natural. And we notice.